getting one of those air filtration units, wearing masks when you're in public transportation, for example, or other crowded places.
Stocks are up. The Dow is up 72 points. This is CBS News.
You don't need a job platform, you need a hiring partner. Indeed lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credits.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Buy them a Stihl. Save $30 on the BG56 CE handheld blower. Go to StihlUSA.com/gift guide. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Today,
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Well, it's Wednesday on the Roundtable. Chip Walters here from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. And the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and glad to have you with us today. And Brian, while you're standing there real quick, I'm guessing that you're going to be heading to Chattanooga on Friday?
To Bradley Central, Cleveland, yep. Going to see what Boo Carter's all about.
There you go. Well, he's good.
That's what
we know
hear.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Oakland is very good too. So that'll be a good trip. It's going to be a busy weekend. We're going to have again. You've got high school football Friday, middle football on Saturday from Sam Houston to wrap up the year, and then 3 basketball games with the men from the Bahamas and a women's basketball game thrown in there as well. So just another regular November weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And then MTCS, I've had a lot of questions. People confused.
Right.
They think that they're playing this weekend, but
No.
that's all the state championships, D1 and D2 are next week.
And interestingly enough, our assignments, Kelly Holcomb and I, have the Middle Tennessee Christian friendship game on television next Thursday. So we'll all be down there together.
Ought to be a barn burner.
Yep, should be. They've already played once, and it was close, so look forward to that.
The Mr. Football finalists came out last night late, too, by the way. Carter and DeJuan Morris and Braden Graham from Riverdale were the 3 finalists from 6A.
Okay, good deal.
Yep.
There we go. All right, really tickled to have my guest today. We go back a little while. It became friends, and Chris Jones, the CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric, is here today. And, Chris, it's so good to have you here.
Well, good morning, Chip. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and for folks who might have questions about the electric service, you can text us, 615-893-1450 today, and Chris will have all kinds of good answers, and some of them will actually be right. But
we'll see.
Now, I'm disappointed this morning you did not show up with grilled cheese sandwiches.
Well, Jay Sanders has very high standards with regard to grilled cheese. I don't think he would let me make my own to bring to you. So
I understand.
Now we can bring the truck here and have Jay make them. Jay Sanders is our community relations coordinator,
and he does.
For those who don't know, he's phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have not been around when Middle Tennessee Electric is doing the grilled cheese sandwiches, they have figured out the secret sauce, literally and figuratively, of how to do it. And man, and every year at the MTSU homecoming, at the Mixer on Middle, the trailer is there. They're putting out, and that's just one of many things you guys do as far as outreach in the community.
Absolutely. You know what the secret sauce is, by the way?
It is mayonnaise.
It is. You knew. So
it is mayonnaise, not
right.
butter.
That's exactly right. And Jay, he has a very strict recipe, but mayonnaise is the key to put on the bread before you put it on the grill.
That's right. Use mayonnaise instead of butter on your grilled cheese. That's your tip of the day right there. And some of you might need that after a big meal coming up tomorrow. Chris, just to kind of let folks know, kind of give them an idea how you have progressed through your career to become what you are now as the CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric.
Well, I'll do that, Chip, and thank you for the introduction, and I'm very thankful to call you a friend. Appreciate what you do in the community, by the way. You're a tremendous asset and doing an awesome job. But, I come from a similar background that you do. Communications was my background, and my degree is actually in communications. And I'm from Manchester, not too far away. So I grew up in that area, went to school at UT, got my degree there, and then came back and did some local journalism. Had a radio show years ago, a long time ago, and I had to move on to other things because I wasn't as successful as you and others. But I was did some public affairs work, some public relations work, including at Arnold Center, AEDC, and while I was there, I did some freelance work for the Tullahoma Utilities Board. So I became a bit more acquainted with the electric business, saw its virtues, and just, interested me. And an opportunity came available at Middle Tennessee Electric, and I pursued that. It was for a communications coordinator job.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to get that. That was 1999. And so came to Middle Tennessee, and one of the great things about communications in a role like that at a corporate entity is that you learn a lot about several different things. And so I was able to be exposed to various aspects of the business. A mentor of mine who hired me, Frank Jennings, was the VP of the department I worked in at that time. And he became the CEO a few years after I arrived, and then again, through some, I think, hard work and some fortune on my behalf, after Frank retired as CEO, I was fortunate enough to become the CEO about 11 years ago now. So it's been one of the great blessings of my life to come to MTE in Murfreesboro, and honored to serve in the role that I do.
Well, and you do a terrific job with it, and we'll talk about that, different aspects, and championships and challenges as we'll go through this. But explain to people, because Middle Tennessee Electric is a cooperative.
Yes.
The difference between a corporation and a cooperative, of how that is set up and what it means.
Okay, I think that maybe the easiest way to explain that is when you think of electric utilities, there are typically three models. There's a municipal system like Nashville Electric, owned by the city.
And what Murfreesboro
was,
right.
Owned by the city. There are electric cooperatives, which are owned by the members. Both municipal systems and cooperatives are not-for-profit entities. And then the investor-owned utilities, which make up actually the bulk of utilities in the country.
I think about Duke Electric over in North Carolina, those kinds.
Yes. Yeah. Those are for-profit companies. So the part of the essence of the difference is that, for-profit versus not-for-profit, ownership structure, investors own those for-profit companies, whereas for a cooperative, the members own the cooperative. So I work for all the members of Middle Tennessee Electric, which now are more than 325,000 members. We're the second largest electric cooperative in the United States among the 900 electric cooperatives that are out there. So we're unusual in size, but the essence of that difference is the profit structure.
Yep. And so bottom line, folks, if you're listening, if you get an electric bill, not only are you a customer, you're a part owner of the cooperative of Middle Tennessee Electric. And of course, here in Murfreesboro, Middle Tennessee Electric spans the bottom half of the donut around Nashville from Williamson County up through Wilson County.
Correct.
And you had a donut hole within the donut for many, many years, and that was within the city limits of Murfreesboro. And there was a lot of talk about when Middle Tennessee Electric proposed to purchase Murfreesboro Electric Department and bring it all within your overall system, and and obviously anytime something of that size happens,
sure,
there were going to be concerns and all of that. Obviously, the city answers for what they do with the purchase price and the money, and we've continued to see how they've done about that. one of the things that I know people were talking about, and I've heard stories since then, was, okay, how are the employees of Murfreesboro Electric going to be treated, and how are they going to be folded in? And to be quite honest, everything I've heard is that it has been a terrific melding of two different really good professional organizations.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for that, and I certainly agree. That was something very, very important to me, fundamentally important to me in this process, is that the team members that were coming over from Murfreesboro Electric in this what we call a merger would be treated fairly, treated the right way, given great opportunity. I knew a good number of those employees even before this conversation started, right? I mean, we were, kind of co-servants, if you will, in this public power model that we have here in the Tennessee Valley. And we were neighbors because, we were, as the MTE, headquartered in Murfreesboro. We always have been. So that was very important to me. And so, we I think, did what we should do, did the right thing in making sure that was handled the right way. So I'm glad to hear you say that, Chip. That's the feedback I've received, certainly. I appreciate deeply the work that the team members coming over have put forth, the effort, the attitude. And so it's been, again, from my perspective, I can't imagine it going much better than it has. I'm very thankful for that. And so one way I like to characterize it is that we were both two really good, solid utilities and organizations by any standard. But we were never going to meet our full potential, separate. And now together, we are and can be even more one of the best utilities in the country.
Yeah, and I think the question I have there is why did it make such good sense for the end user for that to happen? Because if you're like me and I get my electric bill every month, the only thing that changed for me was really the address of where my bill came from, and also in my case, and for a lot of folks, I think the added technology that we now have with the MTE app and things like that.
Yeah, I would say that you point to a few things, but primarily it's efficiencies, it's economies of scale, and it's innovation. So let me touch on those three very quickly.
Sure.
So when you talk about efficiency, we at that time shared a 100% border, a common border, and so we were making investments for the same purposes, and they could be considered duplicating of investments when you think about what it could have been, what it is now. So we had two different sets of technology. We, sometimes we were building lines along the same roads and those kinds of things. So now we're doing that for one. So you got the efficiencies of that. Then, electric utility business is a fixed cost business. So we make investments that are that are long term, that are capitally intensive. We spend a lot of money to make sure that the systems, the infrastructure is in place. So those fixed costs now for both sets of consumers are spread across a greater number of consumers. Right, so the economies of scale that are there. So you have a set of fixed costs that are spread over a higher number of consumers. So you've got greater economies of scale to make us more affordable for the long term. And then innovation, having the benefit of our team members and so many smart, hardworking people working together, thinking about how we can be more efficient, more productive, to be better for the members that we serve, to leverage technology to its fullest extent. Now we're having all that brain power together. Wow, it's as being the leader, being honored to be the leader of that organization is something that I just sit back and say, wow, it's incredible.
Is it fun for you to go in the room and just kind of let them sit around the table and watch things happen?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many things happening in our industry right now. It's changing so rapidly, and candidly, I think that's another advantage we have being together now, is that we are in a better position to face a very quickly evolving electric industry and to be opportunistic in regard to that rather than reactive. And so we have lots of advantages here for our service territory in general, but I think the city of Murfreesboro in particular. I mean, our headquarters is in Murfreesboro. It's going to be there forever. Obviously, we want to be good for our hometown, so we're highly motivated to make sure that happens.
Before we get to our first break, and you talked about innovation and technology. The app that's on my phone, I can go on there at any time and see what my bill is, what my electric usage is. If it's a stormy night, I can say, oh, there's 500 out in Williamson County. It must be coming this way, and then you can see the outage numbers in Williamson, Rutherford, Wilson County at any given time. And what's really cool is watching it as you all put people back online and watch that number go from after a storm down to zero.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that, Chip, because if listeners are out there and they haven't downloaded that app yet,
please.
I would encourage members to do that. So much information. That's something that, especially for when you think of City of Murfreesboro residents, having that technology and capability now to be able to have a set of robust information at their fingertips. We actually just updated that app a couple of months ago, so it has even more features now. We're constantly looking at how to improve that. But again, so much information, ability to communicate with us, track, report outages. So it's a great tool.
Is that level of transparency important to you guys to where people, because we are a society now that apparently craves information and to where they do have it at their fingertips?
Well, what's most important to us strategically and what we're all about is driving for the highest levels of member satisfaction we can. And so that crosses many categories in terms of how we improve in that, and we measure that, and we measure very, very well. But one aspect of that we know that members expect with regard to outages and to increase their satisfaction, they want to know when outages happen, how long it's going to take to restore that outage and why the outage happened. Mm-hmm. So we're working harder and harder in outage communication to provide as accurate information as we can about how long it's going to take to get back on. And sometimes that's hard to do, but we try to do that. But then also provide information about why the outage occurred.
Right.
And again, sometimes that takes some research, but that's what members expect, so we want to provide it for them.
Absolutely. Chris Jones is our guest. He is the CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric. When we come back, we're going to talk about the most challenging days in the history of Middle Tennessee Electric, and it was less than a year ago. We'll do that when we return here on the Roundtable on WGNS.
Hey, it's Scott. When it comes to health, there are numbers that every man needs to know, including your testosterone number. I recommend Low T Center, where they make it quick and easy to get your levels checked, and it's only $25. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results in about 25 minutes. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy. They can cause a lack of motivation and drive. It can raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and loss of muscle mass. Go to lowtcenter.com right now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Molly, a manufacturer in Murfreesboro, has grown by more than 530 employees and expanded their facility by more than 100,000 square feet. Now they need additional workers. Molly recruiter Janice Denson said,
"We offer medical, dental, and vision insurance."
Molly Manufacturing on Butler Drive in Murfreesboro will host a job fair on November 28th and 29th.
Making offers on site.
The job fair on the 28th and 29th will be between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Submit an application in advance at jobs.molly.com. That's Molly, M-A-H-L-E.
As a leader in environmental services, sustainability is deeply integrated into our business model. At Middle Point Landfill, we are environmentalists at heart. This is Mike Klassen with Middle Point Landfill. We use cutting-edge technology in combination with our deep experience in recycling and waste services to protect our environment and our neighbors. That's our job, and that's our promise. We invite you to learn more about us at middlepointlandfill.com. Republic Services, we are sustainability in action.
Let's talk turkey, bargain hunters. It's time for the French's Shoes and Boots Black Friday weekend sale. Incredible doorbusters at once-a-year pricing all weekend long on footwear, apparel, hats, caps, accessories, and more. Find great gifts like Hey Dude shoes for the whole family. Normally $65 are on sale starting at just $39.99. Hurry to French's Black Friday weekend sale and grab the best deals in town before they're gone.
Shop at French's Shoes and Boots.
1837 South Church Street in Murfreesboro.
Enjoy life at Adams Place.
Had to argue with them about whether or not I'm going to play bridge, because I hadn't played it for about 25 years, but they still want me to do it, so that was very nice. My name is Carrie Shannon. There's so many things that you can do to help us keep feeling younger at Adams Place. I'm glad we made this choice.
I'm Terry Deal. Call me for more information about Adams Place, located at 1927 Memorial Boulevard, across from Walmart.
Call Adams Place today at 615-904-9111.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
Let's check those WGNS Good Neighbor events. Boy Scout Troop 197 continues to sell Christmas trees. They're over at the Fellowship United Methodist Church. That's at 2511 the New Salem Highway. They're open Monday through Friday from 5 until 8 in the evening, Saturdays from 9 in the morning until 8 at night, and on Sundays, the Boy Scout Christmas tree sale is from 1 until 8 in the evening. And they're at the Fellowship United Methodist Church, over on the New Salem Highway. Don't forget this weekend brings Small Business Saturday, so patronize the local family businesses, especially on Saturday. Saturday also brings the White Oak Holiday Bazaar, and that will continue Tuesday through Saturdays all the way up until December 22nd. It's open from 10 until 4 each day, Tuesday through Saturday. And the Art Center of Cannon County is at 1424 John Bragg Highway. Remember, the lighting of the Eagleville Christmas tree is this Sunday at 4:15 in the afternoon. For more Good Neighbor events, go to our website, WGNSradio.com.
Good neighbor weather.
Partial sunshine develops here this afternoon with a high in the low 50s. Northwest winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy and low near 31. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 43.
Middle Tennessee Electric brings you the lighting of the downtown Murfreesboro Christmas tree December 1st at 5:30 in front of the local courthouse. See you at the family-friendly event that ushers in the holiday season at 5:30 December 1st. If you can't make it, watch it on Big G TV live on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
From the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios here at WGNS, glad to be with you. And the CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric, Chris Jones, joins me today. And Chris, we were talking about the app before the break, and happy to report that in Rutherford County, out of 145,509 customers, you have 0 outages this morning.
Yes,
so
that's good to report.
That is always good to report. Okay, December 22nd, 2022. Tell me about your day.
Yes.
and the 23rd.
Yeah, so, excuse me, the 22nd was a day when we were expecting weather to come in that evening. Very cold temperatures. We had been in communication, as always, with TVA about power supply. And, of course, when temperatures get in the wintertime around 0, then, we're going to have some issues, and we need to make sure that we're prepared. But one thing that we, candidly, I went to bed having no concerns about was TVA being able to deliver enough power to supply demand. So, that evening, obviously, the weather turned. I was actually, I think I was talking with you earlier, Chip. I was in Franklin that evening of the 22nd, and I saw the transition to the weather. And, it was very beautiful. It got very cold very quickly, windy. But woke up the next morning early, and unfortunately, it was a day that started off on a very bad note for us because we had a employee fatality. A lineman in Williamson County who, unbeknownst to any of us, and him and his family included, had a heart ailment that gave way. And 40-year-old lineman with 2 children, very difficult situation. So we're dealing with that fatality, trying to get people in place to support the office and all those particulars. And as the morning begins to unfold, as we're dealing with that, we get these notifications from TVA about curtailment. Now, TVA has a curtailment program, and we all know it very well in the utility business here in the Valley. It's called the Emergency Load Curtailment Program, and it's not uncommon for really hot days in the summer or really cold days in the winter to enter that program, because the beginning stages of it, the initial steps are for us to take on some mitigating steps at local offices, like we'll turn the lights off, we'll turn the thermostats, adjust them to use less electricity. So we do some internal kind of working. Then it goes to a public notification to say, hey, everyone, demand is high. Could everyone just please pay attention to how much power you're using, and if you can curtail and be comfortable, please do that. But then, steps beyond that, it's unusual. So there are 5 steps that lead to a 5th step that is something that is unheard of. It's rolling blackouts, and we know that's just a myth. That never happens.
We used to hear about that happening in California and New York.
Yes, that just doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
So we got to step 1, step 2, which is the public please. Step 3 and 4 have to do with industrial curtailments, which are by contract and prescribed. And then some technical steps we can take as local power companies for those who have the capability to do it, to adjust and to deal with load as we can. So as we're dealing with this situation with our employee and the family and the office in Franklin, these notifications keep rising, and we get to step 4, and I'm thinking, step 4, I can't recall step 4 being called in a long time. And then moments after that, it was step 5, and step 5 is rolling blackouts. It is extreme curtailment that TVA imposes upon the local power companies to say, we need help to stabilize the grid. It's an emergency, true emergency situation. And I'm just thinking, this day is not happening. I must be dreaming.
By this time, it is December 23rd.
It's December 23rd, mid-morning.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking this day given all this happening. But still, so we quickly to reach out to TVA to verify, are you really saying rolling blackouts? I mean, what are we dealing with here? And, that had never happened in TVA's 90-year history. And so we're getting kind of information piecemeal. I can understand the difficulty, how things have happened very quickly. We can talk about what led to that in just a moment, Chip. But at that time, with the way TVA called that level of curtailment, and there are nuances to that in terms of what percentage they're looking for us to shed load. So we were able on the 23rd to deal with that. And shed the load they ask us to shed without having to go to the extent of rolling blackouts. Not all utilities were able to do that, but we were able to do that, and a lot of that having to do with our technical capability and some working with some industrial customers on the 23rd.
Was it also a bit of a blessing that it happened at Christmas time and some businesses and industrial customers were closed down anyway?
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. Because, Nissan was, not at full scale that day, so that's our biggest customer. So I imagine
their meter whirls pretty good.
Yes, it does. They use a lot of power, and we're happy to supply them. Very important, to all of us here, Nissan's success. But yes, the situation would have been more profound had the timing not been what it was. But still, we had that situation to deal with. So the 23rd, and you just stop me if you need to.
No, go right ahead.
So the 23rd, we get past that morning. The sun comes up, things warm up just a bit, so TVA has enough margin to be able to scale back and ride out through the evening. So we're concerned about the evening peak. We were able to get through the evening peak without TV having to issue further curtailment. That night and into the morning
of Christmas Eve,
it gets very cold, and TVA begins to give us indications that they're very concerned about Christmas Eve morning. And again, there are a number of factors that go into this, and so let me pause real quick and talk about a few of those. So TVA's generating capacity during that very cold time period they had winterized or prepared for that by the book. But the book wasn't right.
The weather was not cooperating with the book.
The wind was a problem. So the combination of the way how quickly it got as cold as it did, plus the wind, plus the precipitation, caused a number of their generating units to freeze up, literally. So they weren't available.
Is this like hydroelectric or steam?
It was
or
primarily natural gas facilities that weren't available. So TVA uses lots of natural gas to generate electricity. The nukes were fine. The hydroelectric was fine, but some of those gas facilities and coal facilities froze up on us. So when things like that happen, though, TVA does have flexibility. They can import power from other providers. Like large providers like PJM and Duke, you mentioned a while ago, Southern Company. So they have contractual arrangements for firm power for those entities, and they can bring in power like that, import power when they need to.
But everybody was at a peak.
Everybody was in the same boat.
Yeah.
Everybody had generating facilities that were freezing up unexpectedly.
Right.
They had winterized by the book, but the book just didn't work. So TVA calls on these other providers to provide the power. They didn't have the power to provide. So again, Christmas Eve morning is hitting, and we get indications at 4 a.m. that we have TVA saying this. We have problems. We're going to be issuing the rolling blackout. So that morning, Chip, we're preparing, and this time, the level of the curtailment they're asking for, we don't have any flexibility. We pull all the levers we can. There's just no option. We're going to have to perform rolling blackouts along with the other local power companies if we're going to secure and stabilize the grid. Because if you lose the grid, you're not talking about 15 minutes without power. You're talking about days without power.
Like, let's talk to anybody you know in Texas.
Exactly.
And they'll tell you what that's like.
And they came within a hair's breadth of losing their entire grid across the state. Texas is unique. The national electric grid, if you will, is basically in three sections. There's the Western Interconnect, there's the Eastern Interconnect, and then there's Texas.
Yeah.
So, they don't have the options that we do to import and export power from a grid standpoint. So at any rate, Chip, so we're there. And you can imagine the difficulty in, we talked about how we prize member satisfaction, in knowing that I'm going to have to give the green light to begin to cut off, 15,000 of my members every 15 minutes on a rolling basis. And I remember having to give the green light to that. That was a very difficult decision, but you had to do it. And so we rode through that for the next couple of hours and, hit most of our substations. There were some circuits that were protected. So some people say, well, like in Murfreesboro, for example, well, I didn't see a rolling blackout. You were probably on a circuit that had a hospital or airport, attached to it, something like that. There was a critical infrastructure component where some circuits were protected. But for most people across our system, that morning they saw at least a 15-minute blackout. We tried to keep it at 15 minutes. We had a few technical issues that caused some outages to be a little longer than that, but primarily about 15 to 30 minutes most people saw. So not the way we wanted to spend Christmas Eve, but again, I hope that listeners understand that it was nothing to do with the distribution system. Middle Tennessee Electric System, our system across the area, including here in Murfreesboro, was performing just the way it was supposed to, was performing beautifully. It was an aspect of power supply coming from TVA, because all of the power that we distribute comes from TVA. So obviously we're dependent upon them. And so we have just a little bit of power on our own. We have some solar, we have some batteries, and we're looking actually to expand that, but the rules are restrictive. We can't have more than 5% of our own generation. So we really depend on TVA.
That was just a major weather event. What about the normal? You guys see the weather forecast says, well, there's going to be thunderstorms coming across middle. Here's March and April. When we get these thunderstorms, how much do you all do on the front end to make sure you've got line crews on call and ready to go to get out and start? If a pole goes down or transformer goes out, a fuse blows on a transformer, that kind of thing. when those kind of things happen, how much preparation are you all doing for just the run-of-the-mill thunderstorm to get folks back online quickly?
Yeah, well, that's constant vigilance. Obviously, if we know that, the way you characterize it just then, Chip, if we know that a major storm system is coming through, we're gonna pay that much closer attention to it. We always have people on call ready to go. But for major storm systems coming through, we're going to step up our vigilance there. But our team does, and I don't deserve credit for this. They do. They do a wonderful job, and it's a great point of pride for Middle Tennessee Electric. Was for Murfreesboro Electric, us together. Certainly, it is a point of pride in how we respond to outages. And I'm not saying this to be critical of other utilities, but when you watch news reports from across the state, the mid-state here in particular, and you see how quickly Middle Tennessee Electric gets power back on as compared to other utilities, we always shine in that regard, and that's credit to my teammates and what a tremendous job they do.
All right, Chris Jones, the CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric, is here, and we are in a time of Thanksgiving, and one of the aspects of Middle Tennessee Electric is sharing change, and we'll talk about that and how Middle Tennessee Electric and you as a member have helped so many throughout the mid-state. We'll talk about that and more when we return on the Wednesday Roundtable here on WGNS.
Getting the kids to practice on time. Remembering if it's your day to bring snacks. Making it to the game with a clean jersey. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like whether your kid is going to run toward first or third base. That's simple human sense.
Rayburn Insurance in Smyrna.
Come see me, Rick Hall, at Rayburn Insurance in downtown Smyrna today.
Online at rayburn.net.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
Hi, this is Mike Cutter. I'm the owner of the award-winning family-owned home care agency, Honey Hill Home Care. My daughter Becca and I started Honey Hill as a result of personal need and understand what you and your family are going through. Learn more at honeyhillhc.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
It seems like right after our state show, we'll be having our week-long Black Friday specials. It'll be all through the week of Thanksgiving. So it'll start the Saturday before Thanksgiving on to the Saturday right after Thanksgiving. We're going to have special pricing on select items. Pick out that special piece at that special price. And that's all Thanksgiving week at Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable. Chip Walters here. Coming up next week, Bob Pondillo. We're going to talk about a career in radio and television of a guy who also had a good a part of his career teaching at Middle Tennessee State University, but a really interesting story about a great guy. That'll be next week here on the Roundtable. Chris Jones, the CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric, is here. And Chris, in part of my life that is in real estate, I deal with people not only who are, buying and purchasing homes who have lived here all their life, but I deal with people who are moving in from other areas of the country. Two things that once they get here, they always say they cannot believe is how low the price is on our electricity and our property taxes.
Yeah.
and when you're here and you hear about, an electric rate increase, or you hear about property taxes going up, I mean, there's all kinds of, gnashing of teeth and things like that. But in the big scheme of things, our property taxes are super low compared to other parts of the country. And our energy costs here, mainly because of the Tennessee Valley Authority, have stayed low for a long, long time. Give people an idea about how rates are determined and how those are passed along to consumers.
Sure. So, one stat that we like to use that I think explains it pretty simply is when you look at rates, and that's the per kilowatt hour charge, our rates are 25% or more below the national average. So, to your point, Chip, I appreciate that. I had some acquaintances who moved from California last year, and they got their first electric bill and said, "Is this right?" Because much less than what they were used to in California. And California features some of the highest per kilowatt hour charges. But how the rates are determined is really simply a matter. I say it's simply. There's a lot of complexity to it, but it really comes down to what it costs us to purchase power from TVA and then deliver it to you as a member. So for us, more than 80% of our costs are purchasing power from TVA.
Yeah.
So 8 cents or 80 cents out of every dollar, is a way we like to put it,
goes passed back to TVA,
anyway. For the production of power. So the other 20 cents is what it takes for Middle Tennessee Electric to do all it does to deliver power from receiving it from TVA then to the members. So it is a cost basis. So we, again, as a not-for-profit organization, we're not a for-loss organization, but we're not a for-profit organization. So any margin that we make is going to be reinvested back into the system through capital. So it's structured that way. So it's simply about recovering cost for us. And so again, the rates that we feature are 25% or so below the national average. Now, during times of the year when you have to use a lot of electricity because of extreme weather, whether that's summer or winter, then bills are going to fluctuate, which I wanted to take a moment, if I could, Chip, to encourage members to think about our levelized billing program, because a lot of times, we just don't realize how much power we're using to cool the home in the summer or heat in the winter. So levelized billing is a great way to kind of balance out your bills throughout the year. So
for your home personal budget,
yes,
it helps out a lot.
It's a great way.
Yeah.
So I encourage members to think about that.
Everybody wants to live here.
Yes.
And everybody that moves here and businesses that come here use more power, and not just Middle Tennessee, but the entire southeast area, which is the service area of the Tennessee Valley Authority. They have nuclear plants. There are gas-powered plants. There's a ton of hydroelectric. But where is all the power going to come from that's going to be needed in the future? Are alternatives? Is wind? Is solar? Where is TVA going to come up with all the power that's going to be needed in the valley?
Well, that's a great question, Chip. So it's one that we're in constant conversation with TVA about and pushing TVA. This is a very timely question, actually, and a part of our discussion, because I was on the phone with the CEO of TVA this morning, Jeff Lash, and we were talking about some of these issues. And so TVA, I think ultimately, long term, is making a strong play to further their efforts in nuclear power, which I very much support. I'm actually honored to serve on the governor's Nuclear Energy Advisory Council. And so we're trying to create conditions in the state to encourage nuclear energy and the ecosystem that surrounds that, right? All the different businesses. Tennessee's in a fantastic spot to be a global leader. So TVA is looking to further their nuclear fleet. Right now, about 42% of the energy TVA generates comes from nuclear.
Really? That much?
That much. That is the bulk of...
More than hydroelectric?
More hydro. I grew up thinking TVA was all hydroelectric, but right now TVA about 12, and they have an awesome hydro fleet.
I mean,
but about
12%. All those dams along 12%. The Tennessee River,
when it's at peak, 12 to 13%.
Wow, I did not realize that. I thought it would have been flipped. But
yeah. So, and again, that's awesome. And both of those sources are carbon free, by the way. Nuclear is carbon free energy production.
But of course, there's the NIMBY, not in my backyard. It's that nobody wants a prison close to them or a nuclear plant. But it is, when you look at the overall scheme of things, it is very, very safe.
Absolutely. I mean, and here in our country, it's just safer than ever. And the new nuclear, the next generation nuclear, is on a smaller scale, more units, but on a smaller scale. So the footprint is very small. The safety factor is even greater. So that's what TVA is looking to get into. But in the meantime, that's 10 years away. Best case. In the meantime, natural gas is going to be more important than ever before to fill in the gaps. Now, we want all the solar and wind we can get. We're not the best wind state, best wind area, but we want all the solar that we can get. So actually, MTE is building more solar, but we need to build more solar across the valley, and TVA is committed to doing that. An issue, obviously, with solar is as you retire coal plants, necessarily, as they come to the end of their age, it's not a one-for-one replacement because the sun only shines a certain amount of the time, of course. So solar to be more consistent, more resilient, more dispatchable, we need battery technology to come alongside that. But battery technology to that level is not ready for prime time yet. It's good, but it needs to get a lot better and a lot cheaper. So it is a time of transition in the electric business right now, and it's going to be a challenge over the next few years to make sure, as you put it, that we're able to meet the demand. And it's not just replacing what we're losing; it's increasing demand because more and more people are moving here. And more people and businesses are finding more reasons to use more electricity per capita than we ever have before.
Yeah. Now, consumers, if you get your copy of your Tennessee magazine that comes from MTE on the inside front cover, you as a consumer can help lower your own energy costs by becoming more efficient, and TVA by way of MTE are there to help. I mean, you can even get rebates on your HVAC tune-up, on new systems, and more efficient water heaters. How do people go about learning about that?
Well, I think the best way, Chip, is for people just to reach out to us because there are a number of services and programs we offer and just simple advice. So I think the best way is for people to just give us a call and let us talk you through it because typically anybody can find ways to use less electricity to be more efficient and with their home or their business. So we are here to help provide information, and we're a bit strange that we're encouraging people to use less of what we sell, but we're here to benefit the members. So we want to do that. We're highly motivated to do that. So please reach out to us.
Yep. Another area we want to make sure we have plenty of time to talk about is sharing change. Yeah. This program was put into effect. It is a philanthropic effort that was put into effect before the merger the purchase of Middle Tennessee of Murfreesboro Electric Department. Kind of talk about the genesis of how sharing change came about and what the vision was at the time.
Okay. Well, it dates back to 15 years or so ago when we learned of a program actually that started in South Carolina, Palmetto Electric Cooperative, to do what they called Operation Roundup. And the essence of it was our members, we're going to give them the opportunity to round up their bill. Then we'll take the change that collects and set that aside and use that to help the community. So we love that idea, and our board at the time said, let's find a way to do that. So we began to do that, and over time, that evolved into what we call now Sharing Change. And by the way, for listeners, if
it's opt-in,
it's an opt-in program.
Yeah.
Right. So I would encourage listeners to look at your bill, and if you're not rounding up, it's a great way to do a good thing and very easy. And
the most it
very
could cost
painful.
you is 99 cents
That's
a
right.
month.
That's right. So it's not much, but all that change put together across the system, generates thousands of dollars when our members do that. And of course, the members deserve credit for that participation. But we have a separate board, a Sharing Change board, that's appointed by the board of directors of MTE. But the Sharing Change board is an independent board, and they will evaluate grant requests. So if you're a charity out there or a community cause that maybe you're hearing about this for the first time, MTE Sharing Change is there to provide funds for these kinds of agencies and community causes. So please reach out to us, submit your grant request, because we have given over the last 15 years now more than $12 million back to the community through charities and community causes, and it's been made a tremendous difference, and we're very proud of what we've done there.
So you're averaging about $1 million a year going back, and obviously, the more local within the footprint of MTE service area. If you are a nonprofit, and state your case, and again, you can contact the MTE office to find out about how to go about that. Any that stick out in your mind that have been that made you really feel really good that you said, man, I'm glad that we were involved with that?
Well, there are so many, Chip, so I might get in trouble, but I will mention a couple. But one thing I do want to say is, to emphasize, is that 100% of the money we collect for Sharing Change, through Sharing Change, goes to these causes. Right? I mean, it's 100%. So it's like sometimes people wonder.
Nothing's peeled off for operating costs, that kind of thing.
100% go. So, there's just so many things to think about there. With the different causes we have in our community, and some of the larger organizations like Habitat for Humanity and those kinds of organizations that do a wonderful job. Here in Murfreesboro, Special Kids is such a special place,
Oh, yeah.
And they do a wonderful work there and a great ministry. So when I think about here in Murfreesboro, I think about Special Kids, and then there are organizations like that provide educational benefit, like the Discovery Center here is another place that we help through Sharing Change and some help for TVA to fund their water table. The display here when you walk into the Discovery Center, the kids love that. So those are, and again, there's so many, so I hope I get in trouble by not mentioning others, but there's just so many. And by the way, we list every entity that receives a grant. So we're very transparent about who gets what. So that information is always publicly available.
Yep, so you can do that. All right, we've got about 2 minutes or so, and I want to hit on one other area, and that is high-speed internet through United,
Yes.
which is a wholly owned subsidiary of MTE, and being able to get high-speed internet to all your customers.
Yes. So we started that a few years ago. Previous to that decision, electric cooperatives weren't allowed to enter that business space. But thanks to, at that time, Governor Haslam and our legislature, many of the legislators who are serving now here in Rutherford County supported that. Appreciate them for that. We got into that business, and the best way for us to do it, we evaluated, was to make an acquisition of United Communications. And they had come to us and say, hey, can we partner? Can we work together? And that was the best way for us to do it. So since then, we have focused primarily on the unserved and underserved, which is primarily in the rural area. So, for example, Eagleville now is a gig city. A few years ago, Eagleville just didn't have any options. And now they're a gig city because of United. So we have been working as hard and as fast as we can to expand broadband across our service territory. And so we think by 2025 that there will be no member of MTE that doesn't have access to high-speed internet. Now, next year, when we tackle that and have done the unserved and underserved, and actually we're already doing this, but we're going to be moving into the cities that we serve, including first Murfreesboro.
Like my street,
yeah,
finally.
So, hey, we're aiming to do that because there's a double benefit to this. I want members to understand this for the electric system. One, we're providing broadband, but when we string those fiber lines allow for high-speed communication with the components of our electric system. So we are building a smart grid. We're building the most advanced grid that the world has to offer here in Murfreesboro and across our system. And fiber will help us to do that. So we are constantly looking back to ways to innovate and get better. And this made sense on every level. Again, these investments provide a double benefit, broadband plus smart grid. So very exciting.
Yeah, and will you ever get into the cable TV business?
Well, the thing about that business is it's going through the internet.
Oh, that's right. Oh, exactly.
That is moving quickly that way. So providing the internet service that we do, United provides television packages.
Right.
But the essence of it, and more people are moving strictly to over the top through internet.
Yeah. So it is, and I think that's exciting, and to hear that you're going to be moving into the city of Murfreesboro to provide fiber to some areas, because I've seen it all around my, other providers do that. But will that be underground service, or will it be flying with the power lines?
It depends on the infrastructure that's there.
Neighborhoods.
Gotcha. We'll use underground where we can, but it just depends on where we're passing. As to what will be used, and we'll be economical and very careful with that. But yeah, and again, no disrespect, of course, to other providers, but we're excited about a local option.
What are your goals, and what are you most excited about over the next 5 years of where this is going?
Yeah, well, I think that the internet piece is a big part of it, Chip. When I think about the opportunity that's there, I think we have incredible opportunity to be a great local choice for internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, thank you so much for spending some time today.
Thank you.
And this has been great. And hopefully we can do this about once a year, something like that, and keep folks up to date.
We'd love to. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, and to all the members out there of the Middle Tennessee Electric.
Yes, indeed.
And cook those turkeys with that electric oven, right?
Yes.
All right, that is going to be it for today, and we do wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving weekend. Brian Barrett is up next with Rutherford Issues, and keep it here all day on the Big G, WGNS.